Hey, you're listening to Media Mothership here on Edge Radio 99.3 FM. That was some really groovy... Oh, I've introduced some buzzing to the studio now. Damn. Anyway, really groovy tunes by Clean D's.
Yeah, really good song. Enjoyed that.
Artist is King Billy. So that's by King Billy, and the song's Clean D's. Anyway, we're listening now to a deep dive into apocalyptic video game material, and we left on a real cliffhanger in terms of what is the historical theorist William Knoblauch. I believe that's how his name's pronounced. I've struggled that the whole episode today.
That can't be right.
SMSN now if you have a better version of that surname. And he was about to unveil core video game texts that define this apocalypse. So we'll rejoin now with William Knoblauch with his theory.
I don't cover every single one. That task, while technically possible, would also be unproductive.
Oh,
Instead,
that's great.
I select games that present the apocalypse meaningfully and
Well,
thoughtfully.
you Dalek.
Like films and books, video games are cultural texts. They say something about when they were made. Like improvements in gameplay and graphics, video game narratives have also evolved and continue to do so. This evolution reveals our common cultural assumptions about what we consider to be plausible end-of-the-world scenarios. Depending on when they were developed, that list includes nuclear war, alien invasion, and outbreak narratives.
Yeah, so, in terms of those three, nuclear war, alien invasion, and outbreak narratives, as plausible stories, right? So there'll be a game where that happens plausibly. I guess the outbreak narrative is the most contemporary, right? You've got things like The Last of Us, right? The fungal outbreak. Most zombie films are based around an outbreak of some sort, I'd say.
but are we talking about films or just games?
We'll treat it more broadly at this point, but
Because I'm thinking of the Plague Inc.
Yes. Yep, the game Plague Inc., which is, again, another Contagion game. I love the...
That is bad.
And then Alien Invasion. Alien Invasion. I mean, that certainly reminds me of the 1950s. Well, I guess Space Invaders from the 1970s video game. Any recent Alien Invasion...
Games?
Yeah, let's start with games.
Alien Invasion. I can't think of any, to be perfectly honest. At the moment, so the most recent game that I've bought, I've only bought one game in the last probably 5 years. Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
Oh, okay, well, that's an infection game, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a zombie mode.
Yeah, there's a zombie mode. I'm playing zombie mode at the moment. Good fun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, well, I've just done a quick search. So we've got Alien Isolation, Alien Invasion, I guess it is, right? Like the Alien. Have you played the Crisis games, Crisis 1 and 2?
Is that with a Y? C-R-Y?
Yeah, C-R-Y.
No, I haven't played it, no.
Known for stunning graphics and intense gameplay, these games feature a hostile alien species called the Ceph. Halo is kind of Alien Invasion.
Yeah.
I see. Earth Defense Force series, I've played some of those. Japanese game. It's basically a fun action series, third person. You're shooting alien insects. Helldivers 2, right? That's Alien Invasion. Mass Effect 3, part of the acclaimed Mass Effect series. This game involves defending the galaxy from massive alien threat.
Okay.
Mass Effect 3. Alien Colonial Marines, of course. Another alien one. Serious Sam. I've seen that on Steam sales all the time. I've never picked it up.
Yeah, I didn't know it was about aliens.
Set in the universe of the Alien... No, sorry, that's Alien Colonial Marines. A fast-paced shooter where you fight against alien overlords and their minions. So a nuclear invasion. So nuclear invasion video games. Any of those?
That's got to be Fallout.
Yep.
Fallout 76. Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout 3, Fallout 4.
Oh, Metro series? You played the Metro game?
No. I have got that in my library, though.
Yep. Post-apocalyptic Russia. First-person shooter in the Moscow metro system. The Wasteland series. I think they're doing something with the Wasteland series now. It's an RPG, allows players to lead a group of survivors in a world devastated by nuclear conflict. Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. Again, you always see those in the Steam sales. It takes place Chernobyl exclusion zone filled with mutants, anomalies, and other hazards. Last of Us, which they also put as a nuclear one, but that's not a 5. ChatGPT's wrong there. Drinking game for Media Mothership. Take a drink. Greg mentions ChatGPT. Yep. So, okay. I think we've run through a list. So let's see how Dr. William puts that together.
Okay.
No.
I mean, this is great.
Well, yeah.
Which players
okay.
strive to save themselves. A far too brief history of the apocalypse. It is an ancient Greek term meaning an unveiling of that which is hidden. It goes hand in hand with eschatology, the theology of last things. Apocalyptic and eschatological visions appear in most major religions, such as the good versus evil struggle of Zoroastrianism and Judaism's Book of Ezekiel.
Okay, so yeah, that's defining that key term apocalypse. So its roots are revealing that which should be not revealed. And yeah, obviously, within Christian dogma, there's the idea of the final apocalypse, battle of good versus evil.
Yeah.
Any other apocalypse? I mean, you're an ordained minister. What are your... Yeah, online ordained, of course, for those that are wondering.
I can't think of any apocalypse things. I generally tend to stay away from
Mythology.
that.
Well, you got Ragnarok from Viking mythology,
Yeah.
right? End times narrative there.
The only games I know are Call of Duty and Skyrim.
Well, yeah, Call of Duty has some apocalyptic imagery. I
Yeah.
forget which one it is that has nuclear bombs going off. And they're like it's in the US, and there's a kind of nuclear attack. You're in the helicopter. and it
Yeah,
gets-
I don't know which one you're specifically talking about, but they generally tend to have Nuketown, which is a town that you go around and fight in multiplayer.
Oh,
and
right,
then-
called Nuketown.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then at the end of that round, a nuke goes off.
Oh, well, there we go. How does that help train you for surviving the nuclear apocalypse?
It doesn't.
I don't know.
In Christianity, the book of Revelations foretold of Armageddon, a showdown between Christ and Antichrist that would trigger the millennium, a 1,000-year reign of peace. Early American Christianity embraced millennialism, but by the late 19th century, most preachers had
Not many
traded
video
in
games
their
then,
threats
though.
of worldly apocalypse for a more appealing message of personal salvation. After World War I, with its horrors of trench warfare, shell shock, and chemical weapons, science and technology came to represent, for many, a new Antichrist.
Well, I mean, you had a lot of H.G. Wells stuff coming up in that interwar period. Some of those would be in conversation with, I guess, some of that World War I apocalyptic imagery
Yeah.
that triggered. And, I mean, you had the German expressionist cinema, Nosferatu, M. Murderer one, in that interwar period.
The Birds.
1916, even before motion pictures had sound, the Danish film The End of the World depicted the panic after a comet-threatened apocalypse. 1930s sci-fi magazines, such as Amazing Stories and Weird Tales, presented paranormal or extraterrestrial causes of Armageddon, as did the 1938 radio broadcast of H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds.
Yeah, there we go.
World War II replaced these
Yeah, War of the Worlds.
No, keep going.
Apocalypse. Yeah, and that's it. That's the alien invasion of the three categories. You've got one of the primal alien invasion texts there, War of the Worlds, as well as Orson Welles' radio broadcast of it, which then caused people to freak.
Back to the Birds. That
Alfred
is
Hitchcock movie?
Yeah, that is an apocalypse sort of
1960s,
one.
yep.
Where the birds go crazy and start killing everyone.
Totally. Yeah. It's not alien invasion. Maybe, I mean, is it a mutation or something? I mean,
Yeah, this isn't something like that.
but it's definitely
Outbreak.
a
Outbreak of birds.
outbreak
Yeah.
narrative. Yeah. So it's a good text. Yeah, undeniably. But I think we're still in the 1930s. So the book, I don't know if it's based on a book. It might have been earlier. War of the Worlds. I'm also thinking H.P. Lovecraft stuff, like the Cthulhu mythos. You're talking 1920s there.
Yeah.
So
Apocalyptic visions with a new, real, horrific weapon. Designed in Los Alamos, detonated
is
in
World
the
War II now.
Alamogordo Desert, and dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the atomic bomb became the new symbol of apocalypse. In the Cold War that followed, scientists developed thousands of far more powerful thermonuclear weapons which turned biblical prophecies of fire and brimstone into real possibilities. During the Cold War, eschatological lore mixed with nuclear fears to create new apocalyptic visions. In the 1950s, a barrage of mutated giant insects, them, the giant scorpion, comic book superpowers, Spider-Man, X-Men, and sci-fi monsters, Godzilla, barraged a youth culture increasingly fascinated with radioactivity.
yeah, so you have that idea of nuclear imagery through radiation. That idea of radiation as a hot button topic, I guess, as something in storytelling that then does something. So I guess for Godzilla, the idea being that nuclear tests caused some mutation, caused Godzilla to exist, come into existence. Spider-Man, so comic books, you have the idea of the radioactive spider biting Peter Parker, giving him his mutant powers. Them, have you seen the Them 1950s? It's I think it's set in Los Alamos or something. It's these ants that get irradiated and they become super giant
Super
ants.
ants, yeah.
Super giant. And so that's radiation. And look, Astro Boy in a different way, right? So he's atom powered. Astro Boy from the 1950s comic manga that it's based on. Again, reflecting the kind of interest in storytelling power that exposure to radiation causes, right? Either, mutations or superheroes.
Literature presented radioactive dangers with less camp. Neville Shute's 1957 book, On the Beach,
You read this?
warned how drifting
Seen the movie?
radioactivity from a limited nuclear war would kill survivors in the southern hemisphere. Walter Miller's
Yeah, it's really interesting on the beach because, of course, it's primarily set in Australia as one of the last outposts that still has surviving human civilization, but they're all slowly dying anyway. And the story goes of this U.S. military force which had been in the area and which is stationed up in Australia as part of this last survivor group. Are receiving this Morse code message from the US. So they decide to go there because, maybe there's someone that survived. They get there and it's, spoiler alert, it's a Coke bottle that had been caught on a windowsill, like a blind, next to a Morse code set that had accidentally been, as the wind comes, it would accidentally trigger the Morse code.
Yeah.
This Coke bottle would, So it's this really depressing, nihilistic view of survival. It's not a mutating apocalyptic vision. It's just, this very sad, we've all got, 1 or 2 years of life and we're all dead in literature.
59 sci-fi classic, A Canticle for Leibowitz, told a tale of underground monks and above-ground mutants in a dystopian post-nuclear society. Harlan Ellison's short story, and later the film, A Boy and His Dog, presented a similar apocalyptic scenario, as did numerous sci-fi magazines. With so many cultural reminders of atomic annihilation, it's not surprising that video games, a medium that still heavily borrows from film and literature, appropriated these ideas.
Yeah, so he's setting up the idea that in the generation before video games, so if we're saying video games started with like Atari moment on, so the 1970s, that previous generation, the 50s and 60s, that were creating TV shows and movies and books that were integrating and working around these ideas of radiation are going to make gestures and basically co-opt them. But that's pretty much all the time we've got. 4:53. Can play a little bit more. Well, we'll cap it off. We'll see where this takes us, and then we'll set it up as a cliffhanger for a future show.
1980s, it was natural for video games to feature nuclear war as the cause of a global apocalypse. Preventing the apocalypse.
Well, this is sort of a new chapter. So we're going to have a look at preventing the apocalypse next time. And in the meantime, see if, Steam actually has just started its sales. So see if you can pick up Alien Isolation, Crisis. We're going to play all these games. Earth Defense Force series, Mass Effect 3.
Or Call of Duty 6, and I'll team up with you.
Is your in-name gamer name tag DJ TJ?
No.
Or is it K-Popiverse?
No.
What's the point then? For that series,
I'll
the
change
Metro-
it. I'll change it.
What is your gamer tag?
It's in Korean.
Ooh, is that the name of it? That's a pretty good name. It's in Korean. So search "It's in Korean" in thing, and you can join up with Taylor. Yeah. Wasteland series, and more. So show notes will be available on the podcast and other spaces.
Will it be on the podcast or on the website?
Probably it'll be in the description field.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
the podcast. Next week we might pick up with that topic of nuclear preventions. Also, I noticed that for the next 2 days or so, if you've got Amazon Prime, you can watch the 1980s Matthew Broderick film War Games for free.
Have you seen the War Games?
That's different from War Games?
Yeah, the 19...
Oh, the Doctor Who?
Yeah, the 1970s.
Yeah, totally. Isn't that Patrick Troughton?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Isn't that one that got lost? And
yeah, one of the ones that got lost, yeah.
So what are you watching it, like half cartoon?
Half cartoon, half.
Yeah. Actually, it's one of those ones I've only ever heard of, right? Soldiers from throughout time and Earth being collected, and they're all, in this war field, and the best of the best are then going to get recruited into this mad aliens invasion force.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? So we might bring that up next week as well.
Have you seen The Gunfighters? William Hartnell putting on the worst American accent.
Wow.
As they pretend to be in a gunfight.
Actually, on an aside, ending the show with what's making you happy, like they do on Pop Culture Happy Hour. What's making me happy now? I came across this bizarre mad scientist project that Doctor Who fans are doing.
Yep.
Where they, I feel the name of the guy that's doing it. Basically, he hates those animated versions. Yeah. Right. He says they're complete trash. So he decided to get together a group of friends, and they've done now a few episodes of series that have been lost. So they've just got the audio track. That they've basically used AI, like one of those AI video generators, to generate the episodes.
That's horrific in itself, isn't it? Oh,
you've got to see it.
It's all right.
No,
terrible.
It's really but it's one of these things that's got some praise from some community members in the Doctor Who community who love it. Okay. And a lot of people trashing it, just saying, this is everything that's wrong about like stable diffusion video AI programming, that it looks so dead-faced, and you're basically, what they've taken is William Hart, all the actors' faces, but they've done them as prompts to prompt them. The production, it's all fans that are doing it. It's meant to have some, animated talent cleaning it up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like at points faces merge with guns, and it's got all of the pitfalls that contemporary
Yeah.
AI generation. Some of it, you know, proof of concept does suggest, wow, like it could be something that gets done, where basically you're recapturing that series again as it would have been filmed, but then using AI to construct it. But yeah, with the quality of, like, they're basically using off the shelf stuff you can get on a web browser to create. So it's yeah. And yeah, you can see a couple of React videos fans have on YouTube. There's a couple of React videos where fans are just critiquing all that's wrong with AI at the moment through this piece. But yeah, one of them that they did is the Highlanders.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I'll show it to you later. Anyway, so check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, better just do the audio adventures.
Yeah,
That
audio
seems to be
adventures
the
are good.
safest.
Some of them are.
All right, well, it's 4:59. We'll end there because we're about to go into J-pop, K-poppy verse. No, what's it called again? K-pop Unlimited
That's the one.
with DJ TJ.
At least it's memorable.
And DJ CJ. Well, you know, possibly will go together a little smoother than today's show for me.
Maybe, hopefully.
Maybe. Yep. So tune in next week where, if all the technology works, we'll dovetail into that a bit further. That's been Media Mothership for another week here on Edge Radio 99.3 FM. I've been Dr. Craig and joined by, what's his name? You?
Yeah, me.
Well, Taylor.
That's the one.
Yep.